Hi, welcome to the next YouTube installment, and today we're going to discuss about anal glands in dogs and cats, but mainly in dogs, and what are they and what do they do. So, anal glands exist in both dogs and cats. Usually it is the dogs that have issues with that, so we're going to focus a little bit more on that. We'll discuss a little bit about cat in the end. So what are anal glands? So if you look at the anus, okay, anal glands usually sits at 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. To call them anal glands is a bit of a misnomer. It's more of an anal gland sac. It's a physical bag that actually produces anal gland secretions. So anal gland secretions, usually owners describe them as a very, very pungent odor, almost like smelling fish, so to speak, and that is a sort of a description that most owners give, and they're usually excreted whenever the dog poops, or sometimes when the dog is frightened or something and they can express the anal glands. Okay, it's usually described as unpleasant. And what happens is that when the dog poops out, it does express a bit of anal glands, and that is how it usually is expressed. Okay. Usually, there isn't really a problem with anal glands. They exist, they produce secretions, and the secretions are expressed as and when needed, and there isn't a problem. Sometimes the anal glands can cause problems. Okay, and usually there's sort of a sign that anal glands are causing a problem is when the owners bring the dogs in to say that the dog is either trying to bite the backside, or it is just rubbing the backside on the floor quite often compared to usual. Then the usual reasons that we see is because then we will check the anal glands, and the usual reason is because the anal glands are very, very full. Okay, they can be full for a lot of different reasons. Okay, one is that the expression isn't as good as before for whatever reason. The most common reason is that if there is diarrhea or soft feces, the bulk of the feces isn't big enough to express the anal glands to get it out. Usually, that's a problem. So it's not uncommon for dogs with softer feces for whatever reason and diarrhea to have concurrent anal gland problems as well. Okay, so that's something that we address. Sometimes it's just not that. It's just for whatever reason the anal glands are not expressed even if there is no diarrhea and the feces is as normal as it can be. Okay, so for those different types of issues, once we express it, we can see what sort of anal gland secretions, the quality of the anal gland secretion it is. Usually it is quite liquidy, okay, and it's quite easily expressed, so that's straightforward. Sometimes it can get infected, whereby it is pussy, okay, and it needs antibiotics and medical treatment and things like that. Other things that anal glands can also produce is it can also be quite gritty. It can actually get impacted. It's almost like trying to push out sand, and that can be very, very painful, very, very sore, of which usually we do require sedation sometimes to express the grittiness of the anal glands. Okay, and that can be quite painful. And it's not unusual for vets, for your vet to send the little animal home on some pain relief, just to take the pain away, really, because that is a bit that's causing the irritation as well. And if it's infected, it's not unusual for vets to send your little dog home on antibiotics as well. Okay, so what can we do about this? Okay, so usually if it is just an expression of once or twice a year, that it really isn't a problem, because it come in, the vet just does a few expressions, and that's the end of the story. And if you only need to see a vet for once or twice a year, that's not really a problem. If it happens quite often, okay, some vets, they may recommend for us, for the owners or for the dogs, to get the anal glands flushed out. What it means is that it probably is it's a procedure done under sedation. Okay, so they sedate the animal, and what they do is they express the anal glands, then they flush the anal glands out, usually with water, with saline, and sometimes they pack it with antibiotics as well. Okay, to clear the infection if there's any infections present in the first place. Other techniques or procedures would be actually to remove the anal glands. Because say if you are going to the vets on a weekly basis or fortnightly basis, because every time the vet expresses anal glands, it clears up, then gets infected again, or even more often than that, so to speak. And we would say that, look, the anal glands. For whatever reason, they just keep getting reinfected. Okay, they've tried packing, they've tried flushing, and it's just not doing the job. So your vets may also advise for them to be removed. Okay, because considering the anal glands is not really a functioning organ that is life-changing or life-dependent. If it causes a problem like this, then it usually is not a bad idea to remove them so that it doesn't cause a problem anymore. So that is the few different options that the vets may sort of talk about when giving you treatment options when you bring your dog to the vets for anal gland issues. Anal glands can also affect cats, but to a much lesser degree. In my experience, there's only been a few cases of cats needing the anal glands to be expressed compared to dogs. So it's just one of those things that we just need to watch out for as well. I hope this has been helpful. If there are any questions, please comment below or speak to your own vet and ask if there's any further sort of treatment options or why do they exist or anything like that. Hope you have a great day. Thank you.